This is already happening. There will be 2 major outbreaks in June. This is critically important right now. The contract has ended. Dark souls, they will linger in the astral for a long time. In the fall, there will be disasters, wars, and calamities. Most people will leave, and even such people may consider themselves very good. I don't know, of course, if it's okay to say this openly on YouTube. This is very serious information, and it took me a long time to decide to say it. I hope we won't get banned and our videos won't be deleted. But I will say it anyway, because the higher powers who send me these messages have told me that there really isn't much time left. And it's very important to convey this information to those who are ready to listen. The thing is, there are too many people on our planet who aren't developing, who aren't creators, who don't create anything. They make no contribution to the development of humanity. These are either people in a victim mindset or people who are just functioning. What are we seeing now? Artificial intelligence is gaining momentum, and already many professions are being replaced by robots. And all the professions that are reduced to mere functions, everything that's very simple, everything that doesn't require a creative approach, where a person doesn't invest any energy but just performs a task like working at a cash register, moving things around, or filling out paperwork, all of this will soon be replaced by artificial intelligence. And people, on the one hand, will be freed from this slavery. They will no longer have to work as mere functions. And here we face a very serious choice. What will these people do? In other words, will they become creators or will they just fade away, right? This is a practical approach. But there is another side to it. We all know that the quantum transition is underway. It has been happening for some time and is gaining momentum this year, as many spiritual guides are saying. So what is happening right now? Right now, the Earth's vibration is increasing, and it's no coincidence that there are solar flares almost every day now, and they're becoming more and more intense. And these flares are not happening by accident. We are being given extra energy, and it is not given to us for no reason. It is given to us so that we can use it to raise our own vibrations. So what is happening now? All the people who vibrate at a frequency below 200 hertz, everyone who vibrates in fear, guilt, resentment, everyone who is stuck in a victim mindset, they will soon no longer be able to remain on this earth. And this is part of a greater plan. It was intended this way. It is not a punishment. It's just that humanity needs to make a great leap. And those people who, so to speak, cannot participate in this leap, who do not choose to go through this transition, will simply leave this planet one way or another. It's no coincidence that we see wars happening, that more and more new wars are breaking out in the Middle East, in Asia as well. There are climate disasters, the climate is changing. None of this is random, because it's all kind of as if it's like a snowball effect. And it seems like it's just a series of misfortunes and disasters, but in reality, that's not the case. This is part of a bigger picture, a larger process.
Many people say that by 26, everything will sort of unfold. Is that so?
Yes, I will definitely talk about the timing, but first I want to explain a little bit. The thing is, when we talk about the future, even the near future, and about timing, we need to understand that these are always probabilities of the future. There is never just one probability, especially in such large-scale processes. These probabilities change every day depending on people's choices. This is important to understand. Let me give you an example. In 2020, when those well-known events began, I was actively looking into the probabilities of the future, and I saw that there was a probability that many more people would die than actually did. And in 2023, I saw probabilities of events where there would be conflicts between people based on certain choices they made. As some chose one thing, others chose another, and that there would be violent clashes between them, but in reality, that didn't happen. Why is that? Because people made a different choice. People have their own consciousness. Not everyone is able to choose. That is, those who vibrate below 200 hertz often can't. But people who are more or less aware, who at least sometimes act as creators, who understand at least some responsibility, they are able to choose. And it turned out there weren't so few of these people. and many chose a different probability, and things turned out differently. But then the scenario unfolded in a different direction. Wars started, other things happened, climate disasters began, because the plan was to reduce the population. And this plan remains unchanged. Only, let's say, different tools are being used. Now, about the future, right? About the transition, what do I see? So there are flashes occurring. And in order for the transition to happen, we need to accumulate a certain amount of energy, and so far it hasn't been reached. I see a high probability that in June there will be two major flashes. One of them will be around June 14th, and the second will be approximately at the solstice. And in this case, if the required amount of energy is accumulated, then the peak of the transition will occur in the fall. That in the fall, there will be some new catastrophes, wars, disasters, and most people will leave this planet, and the remaining part will radically change their way of life. I see that people will be leaving large cities. I see that many people will engage in creative work, will choose creativity, and will work more for themselves. And most likely this will already happen at the beginning of 2026. That's the probability I see.
So you said those people, it turns out, who will be replaced by AI. It's like reality itself. In general, it makes sense. Those people simply won't be there. Are there any maybe signs that such people are not needed in the future?
Those who are not creators, who have not discovered their purpose, are not needed. Those who do not work creatively, those who do not create anything new. And here, I'm not just talking, for example, about designers and artists. Even someone who, say, bakes cakes, but does it creatively, puts their soul into it, is truly creating in that moment. Such people will remain just like hairdressers, just like those who build beautiful houses. It's unlikely that artificial intelligence will be able to do this completely. All those who are essentially just a function, who simply do something, sell their time for money, and create nothing new, who do not contribute to the development of humanity or bring anything new, will disappear. How can you recognize such people? They are all those who live like it's Groundhog Day. They come in, do their time, sit there from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, then go off to drink beer, watch television shows, just filling up their time. These are victim-minded people who are always waiting for someone else to solve their problems. They think the government owes them, someone else owes them, their parents, their husband, their wife. And people like that, of course, are operating at very low vibrations. Naturally, it's unlikely that such people will be able to stay hardcore materialists, those who work only for money, who are motivated solely by money, who lack that divine spark, that inspiration, who don't try to fulfill their true purpose. These people will also be leaving. Toxic people who are constantly aggressive toward those around them. And even such people may consider themselves to be very good. I often see comments like this, for example, you're selling something, you're bad people, but we are the good ones. But what's so good about people who do nothing and only judge those who actually do something, those who express their creativity? Yes, such people are essentially parasites, and of course, they will leave.
What will happen to the souls who couldn't make the transition? Will they be, I don't know, sent to another planet or return to the past, forced to live through it again and again? What exactly will happen?
As for those souls who are unable to make the transition, after they finish this incarnation, in the subtle plane, in the astral, their fate will be decided separately. Everyone has spiritual guides, and let's say higher powers above you will also make decisions. As it was said in religion, that judgment day will come, and this will be the judgment day. In other words, they will be assigned accordingly. Some may remain in the astral for a long time. Some may be attached to the negative system, to the dark ones. Some may be given the opportunity to return, yes, given some new important mission, and someone will come back. Each person will be considered based on their specific contribution, what they accomplished during their life, what achievements they had, what intentions they held, and what was actually achieved. They will look into each case individually.
Here, many people talk about how first a false prophet must come, and then the one who will carry out the incarnation, yes, an extraterrestrial who will lead all people. So are we going to see all of this? Does this mean that someone has to appear before 2026?
As for false prophets, I think there are already plenty of different personalities now who influence the population of Earth. You shouldn't take it so literally, as if there will be a specific false prophet. In other words, who was a prophet and who was a false prophet, we'll find out later. But I know one thing, during this period, it is very important to listen to yourself and your intuition, because only intuition can tell you who is a prophet, who is a false prophet, and where exactly each viewer should direct their efforts.
When will the judgment take place? Heaven, hell, the process of sorting, disembodiment, and ultimately reincarnation. So what kinds of things will start happening to souls?
As far as I've seen, and by the way, I've studied this topic for a long time, what happens to the soul after death. There is a certain conversation that takes place, and the lords of karma are the ones who handle this. And they really do assess, first of all, how much this soul has fulfilled its purpose, if there was one. Especially if it was an important mission, they evaluate how well that mission was accomplished. And after that, a decision is made. Heaven and hell do exist on the subtle plane, but they don't look the way they're usually described in Christianity. They are certain states that the soul experiences. For example, if many mistakes were made, if the purpose was not fulfilled, then the soul may spend a very long period reviewing all of this, and you could say stewing in its own negative emotions. This is especially true for those souls who depart with negative emotions, who live with resentment, who live with fears, who live with aggression. That is why in all religions, before a person's death, they would always be given confession, so that under no circumstances would a person live for the subtle plane in such a state, because they would remain with these emotions for a very long time, and it is very difficult to get rid of them. As for paradise, paradise is when the soul reviews the pleasant moments of its past incarnation, as well as what it wished for, the dreams it had, the unfulfilled dreams. In this world, it can, in a sense, realize those dreams and relive those pleasant experiences. As for more global changes, right now our situation, let's say, is going beyond the ordinary, so it's difficult to predict what will happen. I think that souls will indeed be redistributed. Some will be attached to the negative system, possibly forever. Some will be sent to higher planes. Some souls perhaps will return to their own planets if they came here with the purpose of helping Earth. And I often receive information that the great cycle has ended, which lasted about 13,000 years, that the extraterrestrial souls who came here to help, that their contract has ended and they must return to their own planets. I receive this kind of information quite often.
Friends, I'd also like to remind you about the Telegram channel, where you can find practices focused specifically on activation and increasing your potential, as well as live broadcasts about how to unlock your potential. So be sure to join while esotericism hasn't been banned yet. All this information is waiting for you there.
And right now, many people are feeling an inner emptiness, a loss of meaning. Why is that? Because the old world is already collapsing. For example, in the past world, I myself was actually born in the Soviet Union. Everything was clear. You were born, became an Oktyabryanok, then a pioneer, then a Komsomol member. Then you got some kind of profession, and it seemed like you were doing everything right, following this template. And everything was clear. Then it all collapsed. Well, then some other reference points appeared. You had to start a family, have a child, buy an apartment, pay off the mortgage, go on vacation. Yes, that all seemed clear too. Now even that is fading away. And now new meanings will have to be found within yourself. This is that notorious purpose in life that everyone has been searching for all these years, at least the esotericists have. That's what needs to be found, and not somewhere out there, but within yourself. You need to tune into it. To do this, you need to completely free yourself from these patterns, turn your gaze inward, and activate your intuitive perception. We are always given every opportunity. Every soul that has come here, none of us came here by accident. And especially those who want to find their purpose. Why do they want that? Because they intuitively feel that it exists. Those whose intuition or certain super abilities are more developed, they simply feel it more strongly. But in general, people came here with some kind of purpose. It's just that after birth, they forgot what that purpose was. But it's like when you walk into another room for something, get there, and then forget why, it's kind of like that. And then there's this inner emptiness, loneliness, isolation, when everyone who now feels like a black sheep, everyone who feels like they have no energy, everyone who feels like life is passing them by, these are the signals, these very sensations. And these feelings, they bring you back to thinking about your purpose, so that you don't have to go too deep, just at least try to remember, what did you enjoy doing as a child? After all, every person loved something as a child. For example, I love to read. And as an adult, I also love to write. I've written a book which is already at the printer and will be released soon. And this is my purpose. Well, at least a part of it. Some people have loved to draw since childhood. Others enjoy making up and telling stories. And that's a hint too. That is, as children, we usually love to do what we enjoyed before. What is our favorite activity? What is our essence? Think about that. What were your childhood dreams? It's unlikely that as a child you dreamed of becoming a functionary, working by schedule, or forcing yourself to do things. At least start with this, and you'll already get some clues. Of course, there are dark souls who are attached to the negative system. They have no dreams, and they have no purpose either. They are parasitic beings who feed on others' negative emotions, on others' energies. Yes, there are people who are maniacs from childhood, who kill cats, who hate all living things. Here you go, a concrete example. Those who in every life are killers, who destroy nature, animals, people, especially those who create something they love to devalue and destroy. Yes, there are such people too.
This is exactly that same contract with the dark forces, with the negative system that you just talked about.
Yes, these people are attached to the negative system, and there's nothing to look for here. Of course, there's nothing to be found here. They have no choice, so they will leave during the transition, and most likely their souls will be consumed by darkness. They will become part of this darkness and will never return here again.
You mentioned that when someone is attached to the dark, they start doing all sorts of committing terrible things, incarnating. How can you tell if a person is attached to the dark, or if they're just acting out of ignorance? Or are all ignorant people attached to darkness? Or maybe you are partially attached, because you sometimes do those things too. So what does that look like?
Yes, that's a very interesting question. I'll try to explain. First of all, it's not always the case that the dark ones do outright crazy things. On the contrary, often the dark ones appear to be very proper and can even seem like very saintly people. In general, people mostly understand this in a very primitive, fairy tale, childish way. And literally in black and white, if you dress in white, you're light. If you dress in dark, you're dark. If you have light hair, you're light. If you have dark hair, you're dark. But in reality, it's not like that. What's really important is what a person actually does and with what intention they do it. That's the first thing. Second, a person might not even do anything at all. And here, there are also differences. For example, light souls always have a choice. They can choose which direction to go. And this isn't just about light and dark. That is, to follow the path of evolution or involution, to become enlightened or to degrade. A light soul has a choice, but a dark soul often does not. First of all, there are souls that are essentially vampiric. These are extraterrestrial souls, or they might not be extraterrestrial themselves, but have made a contract with these extraterrestrial vampiric souls. They are vampires, and their difference is that they cannot draw energy from the earth. That is, a light soul can always connect with the earth and draw energy from it endlessly. But the dark ones do not have this connection, so they can only feed off other people. And They can only feed on negative emotions. That's why these people often don't appear dark. They even really enjoy, and in esotericism as well, they love to perform. They like to create their own sects sometimes, or sometimes maybe not sects, but esoteric schools. They can be spiritual gurus, and they may appear to be quite saintly. But in reality, they are not like that, because they gather these people not to lead them toward the light, not to help them or teach them anything. They can endlessly mess with people's heads and simply feed off them like batteries. They may deliberately provoke negative emotions in them all the time, just to feed on those emotions. And these negative emotions can be as simple as a sense of guilt. When restrictions are imposed, like you're a sinner, you shouldn't eat this, drink that, you have to limit yourself in this and that way. And if you don't do it this way, then you're bad. And they can feed on this sense of guilt endlessly. I want to point out what is characteristic of this transition. During this transition, by around autumn, by the end of 2025, many of these masks will fall off, and many people will see the true faces of various well-known figures, including those in politics, show business, and esotericism. Many will see their true face, because the dark ones are very good at wearing masks. But these masks will come off during the transition. I see this as well.
In general, it really sounds like, well, for example, someone says that if you're not a vegetarian, then high energies can't flow through you, and then a person actually goes around, and every time they eat meat, thousands of people are blaming themselves for eating it, thinking, damn, I'm so bad. Okay, I'll just sit here being bad. And when you first enter the spiritual sphere, this kind of thing is actually everywhere.
By the way, the core value of light is free will, the freedom to choose. And if a person, let's say some guru, doesn't recognize another person's freedom of will or choice, that's already a bit of a red flag.
What can we manage to do? Is there any chance to make it in time before 2026 at all? Other things, maybe for some people, like breaking up with someone, quitting a job somewhere. So what tasks are actually realistic to accomplish?
What can we really do? At any moment, we can truly exercise our freedom of choice. That's why I suggest you take a look at your life right now. Do you like where you work, what you do? Do you like the person you live with? Do you like your social circle, the place where you live, or are you just putting up with all of it? If you are just enduring it, it's absolutely not too late to make your choice and choose something different. For example, you can choose not to endure it. Because as long as you keep enduring, you are wasting your life's time. You're missing out on opportunities. But you can make a choice right now and live the way you want and do what you want. At least one thing, yes, even if it's just in your relationships or in your activities, or at least in the place where you want to live. And once you make at least one choice, it will get easier from there.
Let's carefully list the important things you should absolutely stop doing so that things stop getting progressively worse.
What is it that you absolutely need to stop doing? First and foremost is to stop lying, especially to yourself. We're always told that you shouldn't lie to others, right? You shouldn't deceive your elders or your boss, or I don't know, lie to younger children. But in reality, all of that is nonsense. What you really must not do is lie to yourself. And now ask yourself, in what ways are you deceiving yourself? Right now, I'm sending out this impulse so that everyone can get an honest answer. And your intuition, your inner voice, always tells you where you're lying to yourself. Just don't ignore it, because all this self-deception will fall apart by autumn anyway. It simply won't work. The sooner you stop deceiving yourself, the faster you'll get through this transition and not just survive, but actually reach a completely new level of pleasure, a new level of awareness, and a new level of abundance. Because people who are honest with themselves, those who are in touch with themselves, especially those who connect with their purpose and become creators, will be very successful and very abundant. And so the qualities that were unacceptable in the old world, for example, intuition, which was devalued, or super abilities like clairvoyance and clear knowing, will become highly sought after, because these are exactly the things that artificial intelligence will never be able to do.
Am I understanding correctly? The higher the vibration, as you say, then, well, those who are below 200 can't take any action at all. How can we raise it? Obviously by free will, by not lying to ourselves. That's hard. If I find something simpler, like going out to feed a cat on the street, maybe I'll raise my vibration by at least one.
Yes, that's actually a good example. In fact, it's actually very easy to quickly raise your vibrations. The highest vibration in this world is love. Unconditional love feeding a cat, by the way, is a great example because you're showing love selflessly without expecting anything in return from the cat. That really does raise your vibrations. And the more a person is able to stay in acceptance, in love, the less they are in conflict with the world, the less they judge others, the less they judge themselves, the more they accept that other people also have the right to choose and respect the choices of others, the more they will raise their own vibrations. If someone can manage to stay in the energy of love throughout the whole day, that would be just amazing.
And what are some things that darkness does on purpose to lower vibrations? Or maybe, something accidental, like using toilet paper, which leads to trees being cut down, and every time you go to the bathroom, you get a minus to your karma.
In general, light is always about unity, because there is a certain subtle layer of our reality where everything is one. And darkness is always about division, and they are always coming up with new ways to divide people by religion, by nationality, by lifestyle, rich and poor, by certain preferences. It is precisely when people choose this division, when they choose to hate someone for some characteristic, that is definitely the work of the dark forces.
What could actually happen? How could people be taken and disembodied? Now, there are 2 more countries. A new nuclear conflict has appeared at the time of this release. By now, everyone will probably get used to it and just say, oh, warheads are flying again.
Yes, there are 3 main ways, and they can be used either simultaneously or sequentially. These are, of course, wars, which, as we can see, are only intensifying. By the way, I made a prediction that there would be a 3rd World War, or at least that the probability is high. I don't see it going away, just keeps getting stronger. The second is climate change. We can already see anomalies happening. Places that used to be cold are now warm. Places that were neutral have become cold. Where there was drought, there are now rains, and vice versa. And there are constant unusual phenomena like northern lights. Anything can happen. The Yellowstone volcano in the US could awaken, and then we would have 3 years without the sun, for example. A lot of things could happen right now. There is high activity on Earth, meaning there are many earthquakes happening all over the world, and it's hard to predict here. But the third possibility that I see, and I don't see it going away, yet is still new viruses, which will most likely spread through water. I've been seeing this about water for quite a long time already, and I don't see it disappearing. This threat remains.
People who are not in a state of goodness will more often find themselves in situations where they drank the wrong water, ended up in the wrong country, on the wrong flight, with the wrong immunity, or someone sneezing passed by them. These things will happen around low vibrations, but when you're on high vibrations, you're protected.
Well, look, when we think that everything happens randomly, it seems like, yes, it doesn't matter what kind of vibrations you're on, you'll still catch a virus, still end up on the wrong plane, still die in an earthquake. But in reality, those people who are on high vibrations get help. Who helps them? They are helped first and foremost by their loved ones on the subtle plane, their guardian angels and their spiritual mentors. For example, a person who has a high purpose and who is still fulfilling it, such a person receives a lot of help, and no one will allow them to board the wrong plane. On the subtle plane, all probabilities of the future are clearly visible. Here, with channelers and dreamers can see them, but we see them still a bit vaguely, whereas on the subtle plane, those who are there see everything very clearly, and they send signs to their loved ones, especially to those who are not in a state of aggression, but in high vibrations, especially to those who have at least intuition, if not clairvoyance. Signs are constantly being given. For example, I'm always being told things. Let's say we were living in one country in Turkey. At the very end of 2024, I suddenly told my family, that's it, we're moving to Australia. And no one questions me. Everyone already knows me, my quirks. No one argues with me. That's it. Mom said we're moving. So we're moving. We packed up and moved. Even though there was no logical reason to rush like that. But now there are earthquakes happening in Turkey. A lot of climate-related things are going on. The situation in the region is heating up. I get this kind of information right away. And if, for example, I get the information that I shouldn't go somewhere or shouldn't get on a plane, I won't get on, even if I lose my ticket. Even if I've arranged a meeting, I won't go if I get the feeling that I shouldn't. I advise all bright souls to do the same, to develop their intuition and listen to it. That first impulsetto, do something or not, don't ignore it. It's critically important. Right now,
let me remind you about the Telegram channel where you'll find plenty of practices for developing intuition, unlocking your unique abilities, and generally learning how to channel energy that can set everything in motion through you. The link is below this video, and we continue. So it turns out that people who at high vibrations, they are steered away from negative events. What else happens to such people? They have some kind of exclusive, I don't know, they start to see subtle planes to perceive the world differently. Or each person activates their own unique ability, something exclusive, according to their purpose, as they say.
Yes, let me start from the beginning. So these so-called superpowers, these include clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, clairaudience, clairalience, and also telepathy. In the modern world, they are, let's say, exclusive, rare, and even considered strange. Many people are wary of this, and many believe it doesn't exist. In reality, there are already official scientific studies that have confirmed these abilities are, let's say, part of our basic factory settings, that these abilities are originally inherent in everyone. And those people who do not suppress them with low vibrations now during the quantum transition will begin to awaken them. And by around 2030, these abilities will become the norm on Earth. And there will be no people without clairvoyance, intuition, or telepathy. And that's why, among other things, it will become harder to wear masks and it will become harder to lie. Just imagine if people could read each other's thoughts. If they could see what is really happening, what a person truly feels, feel exactly what they feel, this would fundamentally change the entire world. Who would be able to hurt someone else if they could feel that pain themselves? No one would be able to do that. Because when you hurt someone, you feel how much it hurts. That's unpleasant too. That's why, for example, I can never say something nasty to anyone openly, because I immediately feel it myself, and it's unpleasant for me. This is already happening since I work in the field of super abilities, and a lot of people reach out to me. And my top priority is to help such people. Because when abilities awaken, it's still frightening for many, since it's unusual and there's little information about it. Many people think, maybe I need to see a psychiatrist, maybe I need to go to a mental hospital, maybe I have voices in my head, maybe I'm hallucinating, even though these abilities are very important. And they would be very useful both during the transition period and after it. They absolutely need to be accepted. And right now, many people are already noticing the first signs of these abilities. And for many, these abilities are already active. Since I've been working with this topic for more than a year, I can clearly see the percentage of people. If before, when I conducted a practice, maybe only 2 people could feel what I was doing, now half the people both feel what I'm doing and see what I'm doing. And they see the symbols I place, let's say, on the subtle plane. And people are simply awakening these abilities. With each passing day,
there are plenty of practices and tips on how to awaken your superpowers today in the Telegram channel, so be sure to follow the link below this video. But how can I tell if I can see my ability? Maybe I can already even feel it. And for the viewers as well, so they can pay attention to their own, or maybe something is awakening, maybe there are some strange signs, you know, like in the movie, in the series Ghost Whisperer.
Yes, thank you for that question. There really are signs, and I know and understand them very well, of how you can tell that abilities are awakening. First, is when you keep seeing repeating numbers on the clock. 11, 11, 12, 12. It could be mirrored numbers, or maybe not on the clock, but anywhere like car license plates, or maybe on your phone screen. If you see these kinds of numbers, it means your guardian angels are already trying to contact you and they're sending you these signs. The second sign is if you wake up between 3 and 4 in the morning, this is exactly the time when supernatural abilities awaken. And if you are being woken up, it means that your guides, your spiritual mentors, your guardian angels are already working on awakening your abilities. The third sign is sensitivity to energies and sensitivity in the body. For example, if you experience goosebumps on your body as a sign of truth, usually this sign appears when a certain statement is true. This is already the first way you can find out whether to do something or not, whether it's true or false, whether to trust or not to trust. Are there goosebumps or not? Third, if you feel, for example, that someone is not telling the truth, that someone is lying to you, this already means the awakening of telepathy. If you can guess who is calling you without even looking at your phone screen, someone calls you, and you already know who it is, that is also a manifestation of telepathy. Telepathy is awakening within you. That means empathy is awakening as well. Also, for those who see vivid dreams, especially ones in which deceased relatives appear, the ability of dream vision is awakening. This is also a hint at the potential awakening of clairvoyance, as well as the ability for astral perception, that is, communication with inhabitants of the subtle planes. For example, it can also be sensitivity to energies when you enter a place and you feel that the place is bad, or on the contrary, very good. This is the development of clairsentience. There are also many instances where answers come to you for questions you haven't even asked yet. For example, you ask someone a question and the answer comes to you immediately, even before they've had a chance to respond. This is also a manifestation of telepathy and the ability to read another person's thoughts. In fact, there are many signs. I really encourage you to join my Telegram channel. There, I have a lot of information on this topic, including a full list of 30 points about what it could be. Let me give you a few more off the top of my head. For example, if bad things happen to people who have wronged you, even though you never wish them any harm, it likely means you have a very strong ancestral line that fiercely protects you, that you are already being guided. You sense and predict events. Or maybe you don't even predict things, but you think about something and then it actually happens. And often, by the way, people like this blame themselves as if they somehow caused the event, but in reality, that's not the case. You're simply someone who foresees things, a predictor, a foreteller. You could even say a seer. That's your talent, and it's something you can acknowledge and develop as well.
What are the purposes of earthly souls? They are probably all the same. Star souls have different ones, and as for demonic incarnations, there's really nothing to say at all. So what could these purposes be?
Basically, extraterrestrial souls came to this planet to help people, yes, earthlings. And it's very noticeable because if you ask them what they want, what they love, they always say that they want to help people. Even if you criticize them, tell them they shouldn't help anyone, that it's not profitable, that people are ungrateful, they still can't let go of this idea, and they'll keep looking for different ways to help, because that's their global purpose, that's the mission they came here with in the first place. What could this be? Very often, such people choose professions that involve working with others. These are often doctors, teachers, beauty practitioners working in the beauty industry, and of course, any helping professions, very often psychologists, coaches, esoteric practitioner soul. Of these are mostly star souls. As for regular people, their purpose is more often connected to some kind of personal experience, that is, to live through a certain experience. For example, to experience a certain emotion, perhaps to have the joyful experience of motherhood or family life, to create a happy relationship. However, there can also be missions related to helping other people if they have chosen such paths. And there can also be creative purposes connected to drawing, music, or writing. By the way, a lot of cosmic souls also choose creativity specifically, because creativity allows you to reach a wide range of people. For example, music. By writing just one song, you can reach millions of people if it becomes popular. The same goes for design. or for drawings, paintings. A single painting, if it becomes popular, can inspire people for generations, charging them with emotions and meaning. As for demonic souls, everything is clear here. They serve their egregor, feed it, and help it feed on negative emotions. Usually there is no other mission there. I want to specifically talk about guides and why I chose a topic like superpowers. My channel is called Superpowers with Natalia, and this is exactly my mission. And it is coordinated, so to speak, with my other mentors. This has been happening very persistently for the past 3 years. It was happening before as well, but less persistently. My specific task is to prepare guides to gather souls with great potential, with superpowers, to help them unlock themselves, and to create guides who can channel not just anything. Not just some words or information, but those who can channel energies from the subtle planes to Earth. Such guides are very much needed right now. And we also need guides who can channel pure knowledge and information from higher teachers and pass it on to people. This is also a very important task at the moment. So if you are such a soul, if what I'm saying resonates with you, I have a gift for you. I have prepared a 3-day marathon for you called How to Change Your Life with Channeling. During these 3 days, I provide a lot of practices, a lot of information, and a lot of diagnostics. And I explain what channeling is, how you can protect yourself with channeling during the transition period, how you can help others, how to clearly understand your purpose, and how to become a recognized master, a recognized expert, how to gain recognition in the new world. And I ask you if all of this resonates with you to follow the link and go through all 3 days of this marathon.
We haven't yet had a chance to touch on another important point. The influences that hold people back. I mean, it's not just dark forces, right? There's karma, there are certain agreements between souls, agreements about incarnation in general. How can you tell if these things are inevitable, as if they're going to hold you back so you can't move forward?
There might be a lot of things that are holding you back. There can also be magical influences and various kinds of energetic attacks. It could also be karma. There can also be your own, some kind of personal blocks. But I have a suggestion. I can do a short practice right now, and I can temporarily remove all of this, and then our viewers will be able to feel what it's like when all of this is gone.
Let's do it.
And at the same time, we'll check if you have any superpowers. We'll run a test, and each of you might see or feel something, or you might receive some information, and then please write about it in the comments. So let's begin the practice. I am already in the process of creating a truly energetic cipher, and absolutely everyone who is watching this particular video will be connecting deeply with me. Imagine for a moment that you are truly present here with me, right within the serene and dedicated space of this very studio. Take a deep breath and consciously set a profound inner intention to genuinely connect with my presence and to openly receive all the positive and beneficial energies that are being shared and transmitted in this moment. That I am transmitting. And now, at this very moment, I am already deeply immersing you within the profound depths of my protective and powerful vortex, a swirling current of energy designed specifically for your well-being. For a significant period, I am actively and completely stopping, neutralizing, and effectively halting all detrimental effects of any and all negative magical influences, as well as any harmful energetic attacks that might be directed towards you, ensuring your complete safety and energetic integrity. Of the intricate patterns and pervasive illusions that often bind us, of the burdensome negative karma that accumulates over time, and of the restrictive contracts that we may unknowingly enter into, so that you can truly begin to imagine and deeply feel what it would genuinely be like for you to be completely and utterly free from all these constraints and limitations. I am severing these attachments. And I am truly awakening your incredible hidden superpowers within you. Now, please close your eyes. I am sharpening your intuitive perception. And I want to talk to you about a question that is very important for you, about your purpose. Now, I kindly ask you to completely let go of all your preconceived expectations, to gently release all your current emotions, fleeting thoughts, and any lingering feelings, and to meticulously create within yourself a profound sense of deep silence and utter emptiness, as if there is a perfectly blank screen directly in front of your inner vision. If your true and ultimate purpose were to be represented as a color, what specific color would it genuinely be? If your ultimate purpose were to be represented by a single number, what specific number would it truly be? If your purpose were a symbol, what symbol would it be? What symbol would it be? If your purpose were a word, what word would it be? If your purpose were located somewhere in your body, in which part of your body would you feel it? If your ultimate purpose in life were to be an emotion, what specific emotion would it truly be? All the answers you receive, no matter how incredibly clear or somewhat vague they may truly be, will eventually reveal themselves. All the significant symbols and important clues will become abundantly clear. And so you don't forget, I ask you to write everything you managed to receive in the comments to this video, and I will try to reply to each one and help you decipher the information you received. We are finishing the practice.
It turns out this is quite a difficult period that remains looking ahead. What is better not to do and what is better to do? What general recommendations are there for souls for the period up to 2026?
Well, the main thing is to avoid emotions of fear, in other words. Don't be afraid. Anyone who is afraid has essentially already lost, because luck, the universe, life favors the brave. And fear, in my opinion, is the lowest vibrational emotion. It's just 50 hertz. So if you feel anxiety or fear when watching certain videos, reading headlines or the news, you need to go deeper and work through it. You need to get rid of fear. With that kind of energy, you definitely won't transition into any new reality. That's what I'll say.
Be sure to subscribe on Telegram and also claim your gift, the marathon. Thank you from all of us for such generosity that we can just go there right now. And in general, all the information you need is posted there.
By the way, on my Telegram channel, I've also done analyses of some well-known personalities on the topic of who is dark and who is light. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. It's pinned.
Write down what you discovered about your purpose. And Natalia, will that be possible?
Yes, I'll do my best to reply to everyone who writes about what they managed to receive and feel during my practice. I'll try to respond to each person individually.
It's better if you write in more detail, write as much as possible, so there's more for Natalia to read from the fields. Because if you just write, I want to sow, there probably won't be much information or embedded energy.
Yes, write in detail, especially about those symbols. If you saw them or felt something, specifically when I was leading the practice, that will be the most accurate thing for me to comment on.